story about how a street tree planted 50 years ago in Davis as an experiment became the godfather of 200,000 genetically identical trees planted worldwide. It demonstrates how a scientist's keen eye for a remarkable tree and a nurseryman's unrelenting pursuit of a dream combined to create something very special, the Espresso Coffee Tree. In the 1950s and 60s, members of the Davis Tree Commission, including Dr. Richard Harris and Phil Barker, worked with the city to plant and evaluate the performance of different species of trees along streets that were being developed in East Davis. About 20 Kentucky coffee trees were planted along Regis Drive in the late 1960s. And during his annual observations of tree performance, U.S. Forest Service research horticulturist Dr. Phil Barker saw that the tree in front of the Brashears' home at 2115 Regis Drive stood out as exceptional. In 1986, Dr. Barker invited horticulturist Keith Warren of J. Frank Schmidt Nursery in Oregon to see the tree. Martha Brashear, who nominated this tree, remembers her husband and others out measuring and studying the tree that by now shaded and cooled her home. Well, this story begins with this espresso coffee tree, which was planted about 6 months ago. I received an award from the California Urban Forest Council, and they asked me what kind of a tree I wanted to have planted. And I said, I'd like a Kentucky coffee tree. Why a Kentucky coffee tree? Well, it's a really tough tree, an attractive tree, one that's well adapted to hotter, drier conditions that we see in the future. This espresso coffee tree is kind of the genetic offspring, one of about 200,000 genetically identical trees that have been planted around the world. Mrs. Brashear, can you tell us a little bit about why this tree was exceptional and kind of your experience?
Well, we moved here in 1973, and the tree was really small. In fact, I have a picture of it when we moved in. In fact, it was just a stem. And my husband always met with anybody who came and looked at the tree, so I'm not sure, about what they did. I remember them measuring it and looking at it, and he loved discussing it with whoever came to look at the tree.
So thank you very much, Mrs. Brashear, for sharing your memories about the tree.
You're welcome.
And for nurturing it. And
I'll take
without
care of
you, it never could have grown into being a great tree.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Keith, for making time to do this interview. Appreciate it.
Sure, happy to.
And you have a very important part of this story. So in 1994, you offered this tree as the Espresso Kentucky Coffee Tree. How did you get the name Espresso, and what were some of the marketing influences and ideas that you used?
The name was very simple. We'd 1994, we'd kind of entered the age of Starbucks, and a lot of coffee had become very, very popular, and we wanted to put it in the catalog, introduce it. We always had a little meeting to try and come up with names, and Frank Schmidt III, our company president, just said, it's got to be Espresso, and everybody agreed that was the perfect name for a coffee tree.
And now I guess nearly 200,000 espresso coffee trees have been sold. Why do you think this tree is so popular and widely planted all over the world?
The urban forestry had been moving toward diversity of species. We had seen the Dutch elm disease wipe out American elms, and Norway maple was getting a bad rap as being invasive in the Northeast states, and wiped out all of the trees, pretty much of the genus Fraxinus, the ash, the green ash and the white ash, were dying all through the upper Midwest. So Kentucky coffee tree became one of the main species that people turned to with the loss of the ash.
Thank you so much, Keith, and I really appreciate all you did to make the Kentucky coffee tree this wonderful tree now, and your whole body of work.
We need to get more of them planted in California.